What is up, Honey Badger Nation? This is John Kitchens, and welcome to episode 144 of Expert Mentors Live. I am really excited for today's episode, today's conversations. I have the one and only the Sotos on with us today, and we're going to talk a little wake-up call. So how are you guys doing?
We're good. How are you?
Doing awesome. I'm so glad that we're able to make this happen, get you guys on. I love your story and you know, just have had the opportunity to work with you guys and hang out with you guys over the last couple of years. And I know it's going to be fun being able to share a little bit and add some value to the Honey Badger Nation.
Absolutely. It's an honor to be here. So we're very happy to come and be here and share with you all.
Yeah. Thank you, John, for the invite. You know, we love you, man. We appreciate you always, man.
Yeah. I appreciate you guys so much. And you know, for the Honey Badger Nation is not what it was a couple of years ago. You know, I think we're close to 8,000 in the group. And so, you know, there's a lot of great people out there. It's growing, you know, daily. And so I know that they haven't had the opportunity to connect or meet with you guys. So I would love for you to maybe give a little background, share a little bit about yourselves, and then I would love to dive into today's content.
You can start.
Okay. All right. Well, I am Rebecca Soto. Josh and I have been in real estate for about 15 years, and the whole time we've worked together as a husband and wife team. And we started off in an independent brokerage the first 4 years, and right after the collapse of the economy, we decided to open up our own brokerage. We had a great time, and but it worked out. And so we had that brokerage for about 9 years before transitioning into EXP. And so it's been an amazing ride. We wrote a book last year, and so we kind of share our journey and all the trials and tribulations that we've gone through, and almost losing it all, and then finding success again. So we're happy to share that.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been in the industry 15 years, like Rebecca said, man. We're just excited, man, to be part of this Honey Badger Nation. You know, we're 18 months in right now, and there's no, honestly, I'll tell you, like I told my wife, I never expected to be where we're at right now in 18 months. So yeah. It's been phenomenal.
The growth that we've had has been phenomenal. So, I mean, it was what we were lacking before, and it's like, we finally received the support and the technology. And we had technology, but I don't know, the whole thing has just really inspired us to just go big. So
yeah, you know, Jay, we were talking about it yesterday. Jay and I were, and he said culture.
Yes.
Right. It really is the culture, and you know, and really culture is just a collection of the people. So you know, you look at the two of you, what you bring into the organization, that help defines the culture. And, you know, Veronica, you know, just Gil and the whole crew there in Orlando, right? And then you look at, you know, just the crews across the whole country and now across the planet. And it really is, it's culture, and being able to, you know, see that. And it's something that you can almost touch and feel. It's really cool. Like you were sharing before we went live, just how that even felt in Cabo, just everybody getting together. I mean, that's the culture, right? And being able to see it and getting vulnerable. Like you were saying about the sessions, is that people were, you know, Patrick Lencioni talks about it, you know, getting naked and being vulnerable and being transparent. And so, and that's what you guys did, right? In writing the book as well, is getting transparent and getting vulnerable, and really putting things out there. So what kind of was the catalyst for the book?
So, you know, it's interesting because we didn't have it in our mind to write a book at all. And I'll be really honest, it was another honey badger that we brought in to do an event with us. And after spending a day together, he's like, "You guys need to write a book." And after I thought about it, I was like, you know what, he's right. We have so much to share, and we've experienced so many different things, challenges, and have been able to overcome those things, that I think that in sharing your story, our story, anyone who reads it, and it's not just limited to the real estate industry, although that's what we do, but I think that you can come away with learning, how to overcome challenges and how to bounce back from financial ruin and be able to continue growing. And so, there's a lot of life lessons and exercises in the book to help you reflect with your life and where you're standing. And so I just think that it would be helpful for others in their journey as well.
Yeah, it's when you look into each chapter, there's always something that you can take out of it, John. And as far as it wasn't that easy, to be so vulnerable and transparent about things that we've gone through. But at the same token, Rebecca and I really wanted to make an impact, help our community out and understand that, you're not here alone. We've gone through this. And we're here, we're servants. One of the things I heard your show yesterday with Jay, a matter of fact, and he did talk about culture, and that's one of the things that has really resonated in us and the whole Honey Badger Nation, is that with culture, I believe the servants that we are, because we're here to serve and help each other out and lift each other up. And to me, that speaks volume of who we are as a nation. So that right there, really resonated in who we are and why we're so blessed to be part of this.
Well, I want to say something about culture as well, because a couple of years ago, before coming into EXP, and we had a small brokerage. It was mainly the two of us and two other agents that we had, and a few others that would come and go. And I kept thinking, how do you build culture? Like, where does that even start? Like, I couldn't fathom it. And I think it started with someone else's video that was talking about culture. And I was like, how do you cultivate the culture? Where does it come from, right?
And John actually helped us and pushed it out of us when we had our one-on-ones, our trainings.
But for me, I think once we came into EXP, once we started giving, once we started building, and of course we started attracting like-minded type individuals, that just kind of sorts itself out. It's created, but I think it's based on what you're giving out, and you start receiving back, and it just kind of flourishes from there,
Yeah, it is. It's one of the, as leaders, it's one of our number one responsibilities is to grow and cultivate that culture within the environment that we're kind of in charge of. Mm-hmm. And so, it's really getting clear on what's valuable to you, right? What are the shoulds and should nots in your life, and what do you allow? What are those standards? And then, bringing people in that are in alignment, and that really helps, to grow the culture. So I would love to, this is a question that I, always love to get some feedback on, because it seems in real estate that, it's a low barrier of entry for individuals to get into, but even more so, couples that have the aspirations of thinking that they want to work together and thinking that that's a good idea, that, hey, we should do this together. Well, I mean, you guys have been at it, the ups and the downs and the failures, the pitfalls and the successes, the highs and the lows. So what do you guys kind of recommend, for those couples out there that are in the business that, are still trying to figure out, how do we make this work in business, but also at home? So what is, because it's a tough road to navigate.
Okay. Well, I think, Josh is going to tell you about the 5 C's, but I think it's a tricky balance, and that is oftentimes you come in with these dreams, and sometimes they don't quite pan out the way you thought it would, right? And one of the things that you kind of helped us kind of narrow down on was defining those roles, right? So in the beginning, when we first started working together, we came in each doing their own thing, right? I had my own set of clients, he had his own set of clients. And then somewhere in that whole mess, as we continue working together, we start seeing our strengths, and where we prefer to work. And so we just kind of ran with that. And the truth is, the lines were blurred. I couldn't, and that's part of the reason why I think we didn't really grow a whole lot, because I didn't have a systemized way of doing business, and I couldn't teach people to do what I'm doing because I would fill in gaps. So he fills in a gap, and and it's just like, how do you teach someone else to do what we're doing? That's not really duplicatable.
What's really awesome about that, what Rebecca's touching on, John, is that once we were able to understand what our roles are and what our responsibilities are, we were able to get a clear picture of where we're going. And once we understood what our core values are and what our vision is as a team and where we want to go from here in the next 6 months, 12 months, it's shown. We just got out of a meeting and kind of analyzing our numbers, and it's been phenomenal. We're on pace right now this year to do between 45 and 50 million and over 200 transactions, with 14 members.
But that comes from defining the roles, right? And allowing him to do what he does best, and I do what I do best. And then I've heard, because we've got our own show, Married in Real Estate, and I've interviewed a few couples. And while it's good to define your own roles, right? But then you hear people saying, I stay in my lane and I don't mess with the other one. And I think there's something wrong with that too, right? Because I think, yes, I get it. He has what he's doing and what I'm doing. But if we're business partners, we have to be okay holding each other accountable, right? And to know what each one is doing. So how are you doing on your end? Is there anything you need, help from me otherwise? And having those business meetings so that we can scale from there. Because if each person is saying, hey, this is what I'm doing, don't mess with me, that's not really a partnership.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it probably is working, but I would think that if you want to scale more, you're going to have to get past that.
Yeah. And I think that's the hardest part, John, of really the accountability part, and understanding, what our roles are and what we're supposed to be doing together, and really, really talking about it. This is where, when we dove into the book, that's why we came up with one of the lessons that we came up with is the 5 C's of our 5 C's, which is commitment, cooperation, communication, compromise, and community. See, that's one of the things that people really don't understand and looking into. And I'm talking not only couples, I'm talking partnerships. You have to have the first one is you have to have an open line of communication, understand one another, even if not be offensive, but understand that we have to talk about these things in order for us to move forward. And this comes,
so it means we have to be coachable.
We have to be coachable, exactly.
And we can't let our egos get in the way and say, I don't do it like that. That's not how I.
Yeah. And the other one is cooperation. How can you really analyze and move forward if you guys are not in cooperation with one another, or in cooperation and agreement of moving forward with something that you guys discussed? And if there's something going on, let's talk about this and cooperate to move forward. And the other one is the line of communication. What's more important than that, Those lines of communication have to be open always, John, in order for you to move forward with any situation that you guys are dealing with at the moment, and then compromise. This is the tough one, compromising. I think that business partners, anything, and when you have to learn how to really compromise and fix those issues and understand that there might be a problem. Let's compromise and come to an agreement to fix this problem. And the other one we're just discussing is community, which is the most important thing. One of the things that Rebecca and I were always committed to doing was aligning ourselves with other partners, other leaders, other couples like yourself, Jay, and everyone else, because I think that's one of the things that have drawn us into Honey Badger Nation under EXP is that the community, and we just spoke about it earlier, that, man, the community that we have, we're here to lift each other. We all move together, let's work together. And I think that's our industry as a whole is struggling with that, John. And we need a correction in our industry when it comes to our community property,
Yeah, it's a lot of scarcity mindset instead of, understanding that, this is such a transparent and that there's no secrets, nothing new. I mean, just how can we collaborate? And that's, we talk about this all the time, right? Collaboration over competition. And we can still have that competitive juice to be better each and every day. But collaboration wins. And so really understanding that that's how we all grow. That's how we all win. That's how we all get better. And, you know, do I have a desire to maybe, you know, outperform, you know, someone else? Sure. That's just human nature. But understand to do that, we can do that in a collaborative way. The two things that I've really seen over the years with couples, and they're a part of your C's, is, you know, one is the communication. And, you know, just because you live and work with someone doesn't mean that you have the structured communication to talk about the things that you need to talk about to improve life and improve business. So not only communication, but structured communication, to have the space to have those conversations. And then the compromise piece really comes, what I think about, and it goes back to, Rebecca, what you said was accountability. And one of the biggest takeaways this year from accountability is actually from Gary Vee's coach. And what she talks about is, I don't care about your excuses, right? We all don't do what we say we're going to do, but only thing I care about is, what are you going to do about it moving forward? And so it's even with each other, right? Like even with Holly, like I have no judgment with her. If she drops the ball or doesn't do something, I don't care. I don't get upset about it. I just say, okay, cool. Well, what are we going to do about it moving forward? And that's all I care about. And I think where couples and partners get in trouble is that they hold that grudge over, well, you didn't do that 2 weeks ago. Why didn't you do that? It's like that doesn't allow us to continue to move forward.
You're so right about that. And it's not going to change what already happened. So, you know, it's like crying over spilt milk. If we're going to do that, that is counterintuitive for us continuing to grow. I love what you just said there, because that is so true. All we can do is say, okay, moving forward, what are we going to do? You know, how do we fix this?
And you won't be able to move forward if you don't come to those terms, you know, and understanding for one another. Because I'm telling you, that thing is going to keep weighing you down. And I see that not only in couples, you see this in business partners, you see it everywhere.
100%.
You have to really understand that. It's very important when it comes to those two, John. And I'm glad you touched on them again, because it's really, really, people need to understand that these are very important topics that you got to understand in order for you to move forward in any type of business you're in.
And then once you accept that, you can work more harmoniously together.
Yeah.
You're going to have a better experience, right? And people watch what you do. So if we are not giving the best example, my team is going to pick up on those things, and they're going to do it as well. So regurgitate it, right? So that's not what we want to be teaching them. And it's usually, you know, people do what you do and not what you say, right? So
that's right. Model that behavior, right? That we want to instill into everyone. So no, it's fantastic. I know we can go all day, you know, chatting about this, but I want to kind of turn towards, you know, the topic of the conversation, and really, you know, what really lights, you know, your soul on fire. And so kind of share and unpack that, what that means to you, and why, you know, it's important to get this message out.
Yeah. So, you know, we talked about, you know, if you're working at a job, or in this case, we're in the Honey Badgers group here. So you're at a position that does not serve you right now. You're unhappy. Then you need to find what it is that makes you happy. And it might not be changing careers. In our case, we had our wake-up calls when we made the change to change our careers into real estate. But, you know, even throughout your career, you might love real estate, but you might not love what you're doing, right? So maybe it's a niche, right? So like Veronica was telling me the other day, I think it was a great example, that one of her agents loves plants. And so she created a Facebook group, and she's got all these people in there, and they're all sharing tips on how to grow plants and different types of plants and what they're doing with them. You know, it's kind of thing to do right now, right? And so she's having so much fun with it, but she's also able to share her real estate experience, and she's gaining that community. And so, you know, if you have that community of people who know you, like you, trust you, are they going to want to do business with you? Are they going to refer business to you? And so you're doing something that you love, that lights your soul on fire. And that might be something else for you. It might not be plants. It might be biking. It might be just working out, CrossFit. It might be something totally different, right? But if you are sharing what you love, find that niche, build that community, create that culture, right? And you're going to have people that are like-minded, and you're going to like those people because normally we attract similar type of people. And so, you know, this is where you get, if anyone's struggling building a database, this is how you can easily get one started, right?
Yeah.
Where the wake-up call comes in, you know. So one of the things that, excuse me, Rebecca and I touched on was when my wake-up call was when I felt very unappreciated in my previous employment. And I was about a year licensed into real estate. I was doing it part-time and I still had a full-time job. But, you know, something occurred and I was in a position that I could have walked away and said, that's it, enough's enough, because you're here giving 110% of yourself and you're being unvalued. Let's just say that. And I think too many people would stick to that unvaluedness part.
And you dive more into that. You
Yeah.
literally got hurt on the job.
Right.
And
What happened was that day I had to get out early, so I got hurt on the job. And when I went in, this is pretty cool. Well, you know, I just hurt myself and I had other ones that I go to, and they made me go back out and take another load out because I was a semi-driver, so I went back out. And then the point is that at that moment I felt that how is it that these people are really not listening to me, that I'm hurt, and they're still being pushy about it. So I went about my business, but it really affected me mentally because I realized that, you know what,
they didn't believe you.
they didn't believe me,
They
they didn't care, and they really didn't. All they wanted was to get their job done, you know.
You're grinding.
And I was grinding. I was working.
Years?
I did that for 17 years, man. 16, 17 hours.
And that's the treatment you got.
That was the treatment that I got, and that was my wake-up call. I realized I'm like, that's it. That's enough for me. You know what? Thank God that our business was slowly progression in real estate. And I said, you know what? If I don't, for some reason, all this occurred right now, it was because I felt like God was opening the door for us. It's like, you know what? If I don't run through this door right now, it may close again. So I just followed my heart. I was the last day I ever went back to the job. I walked away from it, and it was the best move I ever did. The reason I'm bringing this up is because everyone has to look at it. I've heard Rebecca and I have sat down with other agents, and the one thing we hear a lot, John, that we all have to listen is we're missing something. Something is missing. And the reason I bring this up is because it's not about the money. It's about something that they're trying to find, that they're missing in their careers. They're missing their soul. There's something that's holding them back to move on to the next level where they want to go. So my advice to everyone right now that's feeling that way is take some time for yourself and understand, look deep within yourself and understand that what is it that's going to bring you to your happiness and what steps you have to take to get there.
And something else I want to add is that you were doing something that did not light your soul on fire.
Right.
You were good at it. You were fast. Your company was fully taking advantage of every last bit. And you were miserable. You worked long days. He would skip his lunch, so he would get out a little earlier, and then they'd push him to do more work. He would come home. Oh my God, he would be so upset, and so just taking that out on the family, you know, like, and you know, he's not a bad person. You know, when you just come home and just like, I haven't eaten, and don't talk to me, you know, I can't think. And I thought, this has to stop. You hate what you do, you're good at it, and we made good money, but that's not the things that drive you, and that's not the thing, you don't feel whole, right? And so, you know, we had gotten the licenses to be in real estate. We were doing kind of part-time until we build up our database, and we had to make that decision, you know, and I have similar experience as well, but.
It was a spur of the moment, and here we are 15 years later, you know, and I think our second wake-up call was when we realized that we needed to change with our business. And we were able to understand, and I was able to listen to here we go back to the line of communication and compromising, what we just spoke about.
Yes.
Rebecca was reaching out to me, you know, as my partner, and my wife was like, hey, we can't keep out like this. If something happens to us, how is this business going to be sustainable, you know? And this was 2 years prior. and it always resonated on me. But I had to find the right.
And you don't know what to do.
Culture. Let's go say that. I had to find the right culture and where we belong, and how I was able to fill both of our needs. You understand?
Right.
Sure enough, man, this came about 18 months ago. We felt comfortable with our decision. We knew that this is the opportunity of a lifetime for us.
And we feel that the core values of the company and the people that we were aligning with also aligned with our core values as well. So it's just been amazing the past 18 months. I loved real estate before, and I love it even more now.
Yeah, I love what you do. I think that you can. I've heard other leaders say, you know what, I didn't enjoy doing it anymore. And it's funny, John. We all go through those phases, man. And that's where you got to come in and kind of analyze and see for yourself what are you missing to switch that back around and love what you do. And I think that's the struggle that everyone is going through, starting to in our industry.
I think it's important too to have that right, partner, spouse that loves you enough to tell you what you need to hear, even though you might not want to hear it. And so that to me is where you have, where you have those wake up calls, where you have those leaps in your thinking, right, that lead to, the actions that you take. And so it really is. I mean, I always come back to circumstance and environment, and who of those that are in your circle are pushing you and inspiring you each and every day to be better, because that's where it starts.
I love what you just said, man, because that is so true, and that's the reason why we're so madly dive into this imagination and the Lions Group, because this is who we are. This is our culture. You know what? We're gonna push each other because and I was saying that to someone else in Mexico. They were like, the culture that you guys have created, they were telling me is something that, man, we've never seen in our industry. It's something that our industry needed. And I said, can I say something to you? This is only the beginning. I said, this is something that is my responsibility, Rebecca's responsibility, John Kitchen's responsibility to continue as leaders, building other leaders to be bigger than who we are. I sit down with my team members and I told them, I'm not going to be your competitor. I want you to be better than me. Mm-hmm. My responsibility to you is to build you to become better than me. Exactly. So I think that right there comes hand in hand with everything that we're talking about right now, because this is the reason why we're here now, and we're never going to continue leaving this point, because this is where we feel this is home.
What would you guys say? What would you guys say for those that are listening in, or they're going to listen to this in the future, that they're struggling? They know, they may be that truck driver that knows that something has to change. Like, what would be, the process, the recommendation, the feedback to somebody that may be in a situation that needs that wake up call to really, what's a tactical way to work through that?
So I think that if you're looking to make a change, you have to visualize where it is you want to go, right? What do you want to do? What are you going to do to change it, right? So we can't change what's already happened in the past. We're miserable with how we are. What are you going to do about it, right? Just like you said, what are we going to do about it? So decide what you're going to do and come up with your plan. In our case, we literally left our jobs cold turkey. However, I shouldn't say cold turkey, because we had been licensed for a year. We did have a little bit of a pipeline already that had been established, but when we made that decision, it was done. It was like, we're not taking that anymore, And so similarly, you're gonna have to decide. And even within the industry, like there was a time after I became a realtor where I was stuck doing BPOs and short sales.
And REOs.
And I was miserable. I was a miserable hot mess. I loved helping families.
I remember those days. Those days.
I loved helping families that are distressed and being able to get that off the bat with the short sale. But I was chucking out so many of them, and the redundancy. And of course, I didn't have a TC back then, so I'm doing all the paperwork. So having to follow up with people, pulling paperwork, and I was just miserable doing all of that. And I woke up one day and I was like, what am I doing? You can always change what you want to do. You just have to make a decision where you want next, right? So what am I going to do next? And just move towards it, you know?
Yeah.
And then, of course, finding that community that is going to help support you in those changes. And so that's another pain point that we had, is that we, having been in our own independent brokerage, there was no support, there's no one else to look up to. And so I personally craved that. I needed to find a community of like-minded individuals, of top producers that I could look up to and say, okay, how do we break through this level where we're at right now? I'm at the top of my skill set. I need to surround myself with another group that is better than me, that I can help rise up to that next level. So we know that we found that here. We are thrilled to be part of it. And of course, because I believe in servant leadership, I'm going to give it back, you know? Yeah. So it's just a thing that keeps going.
And I think one of the steps, and another step that I would say, John, is that ask the questions. If you're feeling lost and you're feeling someone, if you look up to someone or you see someone that maybe it be an interest to you, call them, reach out to them. You know, and I tell you, I've seen so many changes in our industry since we came over. How many people, listen, one of the things that we all say, people are watching you, and they really are, John. I remember we had that on the Agent to CEO. You brought that up. Don't ever think they're not looking at you, because they really are. People are looking at you. And, you know, we've had several individuals come up to us and say, oh, we've been watching you for months. Yeah. And that's where all this comes into play, guys. If you feel like you're lost, if you want to change in your life or in your career, then this is the way to go. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to say, hey, can I meet with you? Because sometimes those questions or those doubts that you may have, this person or another person may answer them for you. And I think that's the biggest fear. Once you can overcome that asking, hey, how can you help me with this? Then you'll be able to move forward.
And get reconnected with your why.
Yeah.
So, like, I remember when I was having my wake-up call, I was miserable in the previous job that I had. And I remember it's a silly television commercial that I watched. And it's the family, they're on the beach. The mom is like looking at the kids who are playing in the distance, and he says, remember who you work for? And I'm like, yeah, I work for my family. We all say it, right? We work for our families, but what does that look like? Why are you working for your family? What do you want to give them? What life do you want to provide for them? What home, what school, what? You know, and so once you can get reconnected to that, everything else is like, okay, sidetrack yourself from all the distractions and get focused, right?
Yeah. It gives us better decision-making filters. So we know that we're moving in a known direction, instead of, you know, saying yes to everything. And, you know, then it's like, what did I get myself into? And that's not really where I wanted to be. And I'm glad you brought that up on the why and kind of clarified that a little bit, right? So if you go through Simon Sinek's process, you know, find your why, start with why. You know, we all say, you know, kiddos, spouse, love, relationships. That's the what. That's not the why. And the why is really what you are the world's best at, so that you can have the greatest impact, which is what fulfills you the most. So, you know, what are you the best at? Every one of us has our own unique ability. What is that unique ability that we're the best at, so that we can do that to have the greatest impact or give ourselves the most fulfillment? That's the why. And how do we do that goes back to what we were talking about, goes back to the values, right? Those are our decision-making filters. And if we're surrounding ourselves and building a community within those decision-making filters, within those values, that's where you create something really amazing. And that's what's happened here with the Honey Badger Nation. One thing that you said just a second ago, you didn't feel like they cared about you. And you know, the glue in leadership is that 4-letter word, is care. Mm-hmm. So like you take your 5 C's and you want to put the bow on that. Care is the bow. Absolutely. Care is the bow on the 5 C's and any relationship. And it is the glue in leadership. And I think so many leaders forget that. And so it's just something that we have to be constantly reminded of. And so it really is. People have to know, they have to feel like you really care about them. And that's what great leadership is.
Absolutely, and I can't honestly, I can't say it any better. You know, you're so right. You know, you have to come with you have to have this. You have to come with a servant's heart. You know what I'm saying? You just can't go in there and just kind of speak. People see that. They have to feel that you're really caring for them. You know, that you're coming to help them. You're not just coming to just be there for them. You know,
Yeah.
so that's very important, John. You know, I mean, I love the way you put that together because that's the most important thing. You know, when we're able to come with a servant's heart and a caring heart and really wanting to help someone, then you'll be able to like kind of get them loosened up and they'll be able to open up a little bit more to you. That way you can dive deeper into how you can help these individuals, you know. So, you know, Rebecca and I are very blessed because that's where our heart is. You know, we care about everyone. We want to help everyone out. And this is who we are.
Yeah.
So.
But you know, we got to change the slogan because they say honey badgers don't care.
Honey badgers don't care what obstacles they have in their way. They just want to figure out a way to do it. We gotta add to the rest of that sentence.
Care.
Yeah, that's so true. No, it's so good. So when you guys look at, you know, the book, the decision to make it, obviously there's so many silver linings for all of us with what the last 14 months has been like, right? You know, and, you know, changed so many of our thinking. And, you know, I've said it a few times, and my favorite is Go took it to heart. We were sitting in Cleveland before, last January, before the pandemic hit and lockdown hit. And her and Dwayne are sitting there, and I said, you know, you're not a tree. And she was talking about how crappy the weather was in Michigan. And I'm like, you can do this job. You can do what you do from anywhere. I said, you know, you're not a tree. Yeah. And she took it to heart. You know, within a few months they moved, you know, so that's
her now in Florida.
Yeah.
Yes.
Close to us now.
We're so happy. Thank you, John, for that.
You bet. But I think that's a good lesson, right? Like some people get so fixated in the position and where they're at, right? So like, you know, sharing the story of driving truck for 15, 16 years, like it just becomes so routine. And it's like, God dang, I'm not a tree. I don't have to stay in this position if I don't want to, if I'm not happy. And, you know, I have the power to make that transition. I have the power to make that move.
So I want to say something to that because you stuck on something. You know, a lot of people also feel like they need to be loyal, or they want to do something because they're going to get a pension at the end of it or whatever. And in Cabo, they said, what are you more loyal to, your job or your family? And so you have to always be rethinking. If it's not serving you, then you have to rethink it and do what's right. And don't do what's right for you.
Yeah. No, it's so powerful, right? And that's not being clear on not only the vision that you have for your business, but the vision you have for your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I loved what you shared a while ago, that visualization, right? In visualizing, and the, you know, we love taking clients, and I think we did a little bit of an agent to CEO, visualizing that perfect day, right? Yeah. You know, and that really becomes the life vision board. And, you know, are we making decisions that's moving us closer to that perfect day? And if it's not going to, then the answer needs to be, okay, no, you know, it's yes. And I'm going this direction because it is moving me closer to where I want to be.
Absolutely.
That's so good.
It's very important to, you know, as individuals or team members and everything, you gotta stay connected, John. I think that's the thing, that you have to find that group or that team support to get you where you want to go. You know, I think too many people are very timid to really take that leap of faith, and you have to. You got to understand is that in order for you to get where you want to go, and you know that it's been a struggle for you, then you've got to find that person or find that group that's going to take you where you want to go. And you know, I'm speaking on Rebecca and I. You know, for 2 years we were doing, you know, we did great, but it was at that point that I'm like, oh yeah, this is not great enough. And then it just kept going on, and it got to the point that, you know what, everything fell into place exactly how we wanted it to be, and some, because I mean it's been more than what we expected in 18 months. But if we really didn't search for that and ask, then we would have never received it. And this is my point where I'm trying to go with this. You got to be able to understand and see where you want to go. But in order for you to go somewhere, you need to ask where you want to go. You know, so.
I love that. In one of the point you just said right there, that's the process for change. And you had you had the guts to ask, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what's real powerful is that you were willing to receive.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And a lot of people, their mind is shut off. They might ask the questions, but they're not willing to receive the information to make that change. And so thank you for sharing that process, because that is right things, right order. And that is it for any type of change. Hey, I would love to shift back over to the book for a few seconds before we wrap up. What were some like ahas and takeaways for you kind of going through that process? And also, there's a lot of folks out there, they're like, well, there's nothing that I can write a book about. Nobody would care. Nobody would want to read it, or it'd be too hard to do. I would love for you to kind of talk through that process and what you guys learned about going through there and writing your book.
I'm going to say that the experience was all over the place at first, because it felt like a diary and I'm just kind of sharing my life. And as we were journaling everything, and I'm looking at my life there written, and you start to see from the outside looking in, things that you failed at, but then we bounced back. And the truth is, we've always been in an upward trajectory. So no matter what came at us, and it was really because of our hearts. And I think a lot of people have their own story. And I think it's important to share their stories, because you're still here, right? And you're succeeding. And so there's something in your life that people can connect to, and it's going to help them in their walk. And I think that is what I look at the most, is that maybe there is another person out there that's similarly going through what my struggles were, that this can give them hope and inspiration for them to be able to continue that. And say, you know what, Steve, she went through that as well, and look where they are, Mm-hmm. So, because literally Josh and I, during the downfall of the economy, like many people, we almost lost it all. I mean, we ended up not losing our home, and we're so grateful for that. Many people did lose their homes, right? And we did have to file bankruptcy, and there was a time where I just honestly was like tapped out. I felt like I was walking through life as a zombie, because I was like, I can't do this anymore. We're broke all the time, and that just sucks. And but you know what? We never took it out on each other. We never blamed each other for anything. We just kept moving forward. What are we going to do about it? What are we going to do next? And looking for solutions. We were solutions oriented. And I think that's probably the biggest takeaway, is that, you know what? Life can throw some shit at you. And it's up to us how we're going to take it, right? Are you going to make lemonade out of the lemons? So, and it was a long time. It felt like a long time. Long time. But we bounced back, and here we are. And I look at all those EXP millionaires that we have, and I can actually see myself getting there. And so I want everybody else to feel that too, So it doesn't matter where you are, where you came from, what shit you have in your past, you can overcome that. And so, I think it's important for us to share. I mean, some people have, I was talking to my uncle, and I told my uncle, hey, you've got a story to tell. He goes, well, you don't want to hear my story. And I said, yeah, because there's somebody else who went through the same things you went through. That can give them hope and inspiration.
Yeah.
And just when we honestly, I think was what Rebecca touched on, John, was when she said we just started writing. And then once you start writing, you start realizing like, wow, we have so much to speak upon, and man, it started resonating on us, man. And by the way, our book, it's my story and her story, and we didn't write it together, so our book is separate.
Well,
but
we tell
There were two stories. Yeah.
her side, his side.
Right.
Yeah, different. Well, yeah, you share your own perspective through the same journey. Yeah,
But
yeah.
at the same token, when we went back and read everything before final, the final publishing, there was so much alike that we both had to really spoke about that, even though we said it differently, but the meaning of everything was really so aligned with one another that it was very impressive to see how everything just fall into place. So my advice to everyone is don't be afraid, man. We all have a story, like Rebecca said. Take that first step and just start writing. Once you start writing, you're gonna see, you're gonna feel, you're gonna know that you have something to say or to help someone else out.
What problem did you have, and how'd you solve it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You got into that situation. How did you get out of it?
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's for sure. So you guys, just an amazing story, and so much more left to be written. What for the two of you right now, through all the success and where you guys are at, what's most important in your lives right now?
So I think for me, the most important thing, I don't know, there's so many things I think on the same level, but work-wise, I love serving, giving back, coaching, mentoring, and I'm not necessarily probably like the biggest well-known coach. I don't think that matters. I think what matters is what you do with what you have, right? So for those people who are around me, anyone that I can help, that's what I look to do. And if I can scale that and grow with that later, then that'll be my next journey. But for now, it's just kind of, I love to see other people succeed. So that kind of lights me up right now.
For me,
I love that.
For me to start off with is great man that I admired the most always told me, Josh, never stop learning. And that's just where moving forward, that's where my heart is. First, start learning, continue learning, and surrounding yourself with individuals where you want to go, like yourself, and just partners the way we have them. That's my first goal. My second goal is to pay it forward, always. Because if I'm not paying it forward, what was the purpose of me learning all this?
Yeah.
To myself, and I'm not being faithful to myself, and I'm not faithful to what I'm supposed to be doing, and that's following what I'm supposed to be doing is building others.
Creating that legacy.
And creating the legacy for all of us. And third of all is just, continue growing, growing our team and just, building ourselves and just growing. And the third of all, and I'll touch on it again real quick, is building ourselves. We also have to keep growing as partners, as individuals, as leaders in our community, professional development. So that's where my heart is and our heart is.
I love that. That's so good. So for all of you guys listening in, make sure you guys get connected with Rebecca and Josh. And marriedinrealestate.com is the URL. Is that probably the easiest way to get connected with you guys?
That's the link to order a book, and the book is for free right now. Just pay shipping and handling, very small charge, and you can get the book for free. And the other one with our contact would be sotolegacygroup.club.
There you go. I really appreciate you guys taking the time, jumping in, and always coming from place of contribution, always coming from the place, just coming from your heart. And it's contagious, and I really appreciate it. And make sure you guys all listening in give lots of love to the Sotos, and make sure you connect, get the book, and can't wait to see you guys again on the next episode. Thank you guys.
All right.
See ya.
Thank you for having us. Bye.